Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's Coach Hal here. Want to go over a little decompression practice that's going to be good for all walks of life. If you're currently in pain and looking to get out of pain, this should be your go-to. If you're out of pain and moving well, this is still just a great practice to wind down the end of your day, maybe even begin your day. It's just a soft, easy thing to do. Right now we're going to just do passive legs up on the couch, meaning we're not really putting any work into the body. We're really trying to eliminate work from the body rather. So throughout our day, throughout life, we're constantly putting tension and pressure into our body and into our musculature. And that just creates tightness and knots and short breath work. And we're just going to spend some time breathing and spend some time on our back so we can allow gravity to help our spine decompress. Get our feet up so we can get some lymphatic drainage. There's a lot that goes into this, even though we're going to be practicing eliminating work. It's going to be a really nice practice for you to hopefully incorporate into your everyday routine. Just the amount of time that you spend here may be indicative of where you're at and what you need to be doing for your body at this time. But once again, it's a great spot to put your body in, real nice and safe. And let's just go ahead and get into it. I think Luna is getting ready to move here. Let's see what she decides to do. We'll see you later, Luna. We're gonna get into it. So I really like a 90-degree angle for my knees and my feet up to be on. The couch is a little bit lower than that for me. I can steal a pillow or two here. So whatever you need to do, if you have a chair, you can use your bed, you can use a couch, anywhere that's comfortable. If I'm just on a very thin carpet here, if you need a yoga mat or lay a comforter down, something to soften the floor, that's totally okay. Make sure that you are comfortable in this position. We're looking to relax, find a lot of comfort, and just work on our breathing. So we're going to go ahead and keep our knees stacked over our hips, keep our feet straight ahead. So ankles, feet, knees, hips are all in alignment. Try and get shoulders in alignment with that as well. We can do little wiggles, whatever we really need to do to make ourselves comfortable and get our spine long. If you have a booty band or just some type of strap, you can really makeshift anything, even with a t-shirt. Just tie around your thighs to keep them together. If you tend to want to do this and have the feet splay out, we really want to mitigate that. See how the knees are splayed out. We're really not stacked on each other. We're not stacking our ankles and our knees. So that booty band or any makeshift item that you have to keep those thighs and feet, everything together in alignment with one another, utilize that if you need it. But if you are not having to stress or strain or put in additional work to keep your legs neutral, then you can go without. But it is something that's highly recommended. And from here, also, you see me wiggling around a little bit. I'm kind of feeling my connection with the ground around my lower back and my shoulders, and I'm trying to pull my spine as long as possible to just make sure I am fully spread out here. And I'm just going to let my arm out down to the side. If you're really tight in the chest and the shoulder area, it's going to be a lot easier to bring your hands down towards your hips. You might want them fully out, maybe down here at like an A, or you can come to your T. I wouldn't advise going up into a Y or I, maybe later on if you would like to, but for the purpose of this decompression, we really just want to be out here at a T or an A with our hands externally rotated, so palms to the sky, and just let the shoulders fall to the floor. And if you need to do any wiggles with your hips, try and pull your tailbone towards the couch, pulling that spine long. Just a little bit of wiggles, just a little bit of work, not creating much tension here. We're just getting fixated so we can get ready to start. So everything feels good, body feels good. We're gonna check in with our head and our chin now. We wanna make sure our chin's not up towards the sky and jutting out.
So we can just kind of tuck our chin down and or find the bony landmarks behind our skull here, behind our neck, and just kind of give those just a little tug up. Make sure the crown of our head is pulling away, just kind of facing away. That chin is tucked, trying to get our back of our neck not quite flat on the floor, but just reducing that curvature, reducing that extension in your neck. And we want to start focusing on our breathing from this point. We're not doing anything super special, but I do enjoy bringing my breath in through my nose and out my mouth for relaxation. If you breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, that is perfectly fine. You may find that you are able to release some tension throughout your whole body if you are doing more exhales through the mouth and really allowing your face to relax. I think it's a big thing to take note of if you're holding tension in your face. It's one area of the body that we tend to overlook, so we try and relieve the tension in our feet and our knees and our hips, our low back, maybe our upper back and our spine, and we are holding this tension in our face, so let's let go of that. Be mindful of when we take our inhale in, we're sending our breath into our lower back. You may feel the bottom of your rib cage around your mid-lower back to start making contact with the floor. When you bring in this big deep inhale to the lower back, you may feel your lower back make contact with the floor. If your lower back is already in contact with the floor and you tend to have this tail tucked posture, you may benefit from giving a little bit of a tug in that lower spine and creating that small curvature in the low back. We don't want to be forcing anything though, so just play around with where your body is. Do some wiggles with the lower spine and the hips and feel where your tailbone is. See if you maybe have it stuck low into the left or high into the right. Chances of your spine being fully long and decompressed is unlikely with our sitting habits and just the nature of our lifestyle today. So try and recognize where that tailbone is and see if you can't make some small, tiny micro adjustments to feel a little bit better and feel a little bit more decompressed. And I love to take my hands and my thumbs and play around, make sure my quads are turned off. I'm not holding any tension in my legs and my thighs. My hip flexors are relaxed. I'm not holding any tension here. These feel nice and loose. You can even massage this area too if you're feeling real tight. Just real easy. You don't want to poke around too hard and irritate anything. We are still just deep breathing into that low back area and letting those exhales really allow us to relieve and release that tension throughout our whole body. So those exhales, try and make them, if you can, twice as long as your inhale. Good, nice inhale. Those slow, controlled, really relaxing exhales make this practice so much better. So I know I've been ranting and raving here for a while on how to set up and what to be looking for, but let's just go ahead and get into some deep breaths here so we can follow along with one another and get into sync. If you have heard of a rib flare, or maybe you're not aware of what this is, when we're laying flat here on our back, it's really easy. And I'm going to go ahead and turn so you can see what it is I'm talking about. When you're laying flat on your back here, some people may experience a lot of pressure and weight into the floor at the hip area here and the low back, and also at the shoulders. And what this does is a lot of big disconnect from the whole mid and lower back from the ground. And when that happens, you can almost see the rib cage sit up and flare. So I'm trying to exaggerate this here for you. You can see this rib flare. That's what a rib flare is, and we want to mitigate this because when we bring this to our standing world, this is going to be known as an anterior pelvic tilt with rib cage flare, and there's a lot of dispute upon whether anterior pelvic tilt is going to be good or bad. But at the end of the day, if your rib cage and your pelvis is not connected, you're going to have breath and energy from your core that's leaking out the front. And when you're leaking energy from the core and it doesn't flow into your limbs properly, it's not a recipe. It's not a tasteful recipe. It simply isn't. So we can debate all day long about whether an anterior pelvic tilt's good or bad, but at the end of the day, we want to mitigate rib flare. We want to have control of our core. We want our rib cage and our pelvis working together. We want core connection. So if you are noticing a rib flare, we're going to make a very tiny adjustment. And as we bring our breath into our low back, we're breathing down into the floor, down to the back of the rib cage and into the low back. We want to have an intention of allowing the bottom. If you feel the floating ribs here, right around this point, you can feel the rib cage comes down, and right around this area, you can see my hands poking around, or maybe the bottom of your elbows. Around this area is where the bottom of your rib cage is going to be beneath you, and we want to try and push into the floor with the bottom of the rib cage and recognize how my ribs are now not flaring and I have a good, nice core connection. And if I let go of that, my ribs are going to come up and I'm going to have this rib flare and my ribs almost sit higher than my chest. We want to get those ribs down and connect that bottom of the rib cage to the floor. You may still have a little disconnect from the low back from the floor. That's okay. We need that mid back and that rib cage down, pushing into the floor, trying to push your torso away from the floor with the bottom of the rib cage from the back. So I hope that's not too confusing. But we're not trying to push our rib cage into the floor. We're rather trying to push away from the floor with our rib cage. So to get that sensation, you're going to feel the sides of your abdomen here light up. And it's not necessarily the six-pack abs or the lower abs here that are lighting up, but just out to the side. And I love to use my hands for feel, to check on my quads, to check on my hip flexors, and to especially check in on my abdomen area and make sure that if I do have that rib flare, that I'm using my intrinsic core to hold my rib cage and my pelvis in connection and contact with one another. So if that is something that you fear, that you struggle with this rib flare, that is a great way to work on that and to begin to progress into having a stronger core and a stronger connection so you can be better and stronger in daily life and daily movement. So we're just going to go ahead and get back into our passive resting posture here on the couch. You can always have your feet up on the wall while you do this too. And you can put pressure into the wall and pull down with your feet and get some activation into the glutes and the hamstrings. It's a great way to practice this as well if you feel like this just isn't doing enough for you. But for many people, you will experience that after spending, the 7, 8 to 10 minutes that we've been here for, that your body really just starts to settle and you really start to feel the shoulders relax and fall to the floor and feel the femurs fall into the back space of the hips and really as every deep inhale that you bring in and every exhale, nice, slow, and controlled, you're starting to feel your core and your diaphragm working more, working in conjunction with that breath and being more aware of it. Just really feeling good and relaxed and decompressed. And you may even hear or feel some decompression pops in your spine or your shoulders, anywhere really in your body. It can even come into the knees and the hips. So if you're experiencing that, good on you, and keep continuing to practice this. We've been going here for a little while, so if you want to slowly come out of this, you can start with wiggling your hands and wiggling your fingers. We can then, once we're ready to really move out, bring our knees to our chest, and we can slowly roll over to our side and kind of just come into fetal position and roll up on out of this nice and safely. So this was somewhat of a short practice, but I would really encourage you to take as much time as you need in this position and to really work on your breath and really pay attention to your body and listen to what it has to say. And the more you do this, and each day that you spend time here, you're going to feel new, different things coming up in your body, things that hopefully are good. And if you're recognizing new ailments or new areas of pain or fatigue, these are also good signs that your body is just going through changes, and there's layers that we need to peel back. So if you're incorporating decompression into your daily recode and other movements, you're going to be seeing a lot of benefits, hopefully becoming more in tune with your body. And you can do about 10-15 minutes here in this position, come out, work into some rockers, do some more recode, and then bounce right back into decompression. You can do it early in the morning if that's what you feel like, but we do spend hopefully 7 to 8 hours sleeping at night. So first thing in the morning, maybe want to get moving, and this will be a great way to help wind down before you go to bed. I like to spend a lot of time here in this position, breathing, being with my thoughts, and meditating. So if that's something that works for you as well, there's lots of options, and this shouldn't be confined to one and only way to do this. There's plenty of ways to decompress. You can go back to where I was, kind of just on my back with my feet on the floor. So if you don't want to put your feet on the wall or on a couch, we can certainly lay in this position. Do whatever works for you. Do whatever is best for you and what makes your body feel good. So thank you for being here with me today and going through this practice. Hopefully you did move along and breathe along and decompress with me as you watch this. But if not, get into it right now. Give your body some love. And we will see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.